Welcome. Hello. This is the 1225 news conference featuring student athletes from 5th-seeded Baylor. Baylor is the 3-time NCAA champions, and they are making their 20th straight NCAA tournament appearance. We're joined on the dais by Dreana Edwards, Sarah Andrews, and Asia Blackwell. Just a reminder to our media members both in the room and on Zoom, please provide your name and media affiliation when you ask a question during our press conferences. And if you are indeed joining us on Zoom, use the raise hand function and we will address you when we get to you. And as always, recording on video of press conferences in this space is prohibited. So we'll go ahead and open up the floor to our student athletes for questions. Yeah, we have a mic. It's coming.
Asia, Zach Smith, Waco Trib. First time in the NCAA tournament. What's it like? What are your emotions? You know, you had a long career, but you're kind of finally here. What are the emotions?
Yeah, it's crazy to think I've been in college so long and haven't been in the NCAA tournament. But yeah, I haven't seen it, but also like the NCAA tournament hasn't seen me. You know, I'm blessed to be here in this position with my teammates and to get the tournament going.
Okay. Let's go. So I'll Chad in the front first, then we'll go to the back row.
I guess, Sarah, for you, Chad Vauthering, KWTX. Sarah, for you, you've been around this block a couple times now. I mean, what is kind of your mindset going into this week? And you've had a couple tournaments under your belt. What's your mindset?
I'm excited. I think, we have a few people on our team that hasn't been to the tournament, and I think this group is so special. We hadn't played in a while, so I think, we're ready to get on that floor and play a 40-minute basketball game. We're going to come out shot like a cannon, so I'm excited to see us get on the floor and compete tomorrow.
Damian Sortell at the Roanoke Times. Sarah, this one's for you. 4 years ago, your freshman year during that COVID season, you played Virginia Tech in the second round down in Texas. Does it feel like coming full circle that you're playing at Virginia Tech in your senior year for the NCAA tournament?
I low-key kind of forgot that. That's how I feel like I'm a little old now that you just said that. But, yeah, it's kind of crazy to see them again, in my last year of college, it comes back around in full swing. College goes by fast. Like you said, I was just a freshman a few years ago. So to be playing them as a senior is kind of crazy.
Additional questions for us? Let's go.
Dre, do you feel like this team is, I think Nikki talked after the Big 12 tournament, you need to get back in the gym, get up some shots, all that fun stuff. Do you think this team has turned the page and is kind of ready for this kind of final chapter of the year?
Yeah, I definitely think we turned the page. We've been in the gym constantly, nonstop for the past week and a half that we've been off, and I think we're super ready. We've been prepared. We've had some great practices, especially the last 3-4 practices. We've been really dialed in, really locked in, so we're ready for sure.
Dre, kind of going off that, last couple days, didn't know who you are going to play. Is there a little bit more sense of relief now that you have opponent, don't have to kind of double dip and prepare for two teams now? Is there a little more relief now that it's Vanderbilt?
It's definitely some relief for sure. We've been going over both of the teams' plays in practice and things like that, and working on what we'll do defensively, kind of for both of them. But now that we know who, we could kind of set in and finally be okay, this is what we're going to do. This is our game plan and things like that.
Back row.
Hey guys, Kelly Grimlich, ESPN. I'm calling the game tomorrow. So for really any of you guys, but when Baylor is playing its best basketball, what do you feel like you guys are doing well in order to make that happen?
I think it all starts with defense. I mean, I think when we have that defensive mindset, I mean, we come out strong, we come out gritty, we come out aggressive, and I think it just really enhances our offense. So it really starts with our defense.
Go down the line, Sarah, then Dreana.
I think it also starts with communication. I think, we're at our best when we're communicating with each other, when we're accepting feedback and from the coaches and from one another, when we're telling each other, hey, this is what we see and what we don't see. So I think it starts with defense and communication.
To piggyback off of them, I think it starts with our preparation and our focus in practice. When we have really good practice and when we're really locked in and focused, we come out with a dub every time, and we're really locked in on the game plan, knowing what we're supposed to do, toning in on our defense, like she said, and our communication in practice is really good as well. So overall, I think it just comes down to our preparation and our determination and our focus.
I'll ask you all about Vanderbilt, having seen them last night with the win over Columbia. They're a team that's physical. They're a team that gets to the basketball. You all are great defending the three-point line, great shooting the three. What were your takeaways from Vanderbilt, and what can you all do to be successful? Dreana, we'll start with you.
I think our main focus is to just match their aggression and to play our game of basketball. Like Asia said earlier, our defense makes us go. So I think us being defensive and being aggressive on the defensive end and rebounding the basketball, we can't let them get offensive rebounds. So we have to crash the glass, and I think Asia's going to do a great job at that for sure.
Sarah, what stands out to you about Vanderbilt?
I think, they're a great team coming from the SEC. They're a very, tough team. Like Dre said, they're going to crash the boards. But I think, we really have an advantage. We can get downhill at all positions. So I think it's about us just playing Baylor basketball, not letting their physicality, do anything to us. We know that we're going to have to finish over them because they're so long, especially at the guard size. So I think that's the biggest thing is just not letting the physicality take us out of our game.
Sure. Asia, it's said that the tournament runs through the SEC. The Big 12 is right there as well, and you guys played a tough schedule and had success against NCAA tournament caliber teams. How has that prepared you for this game and for the entirety of this tournament?
I mean, if you just think about it, just playing in the Big 12, I mean, you're playing night in, night out, great teams, aggressive teams. And so as I think about the SEC, I mean, Dre and I are pretty familiar with that and the aggressiveness they play with. So, I mean, it would just be like a memory. And I guess we'll have to just go back out there and just play our game, play Baylor basketball.
Additional, Sarah.
Well, kind of going off that for Dre and Asia, what is it about Baylor coming from your previous stops where that Baylor's enabled you both to thrive here and play some of your best basketball for both of you guys?
I think it comes with just knowing the game, and Coach Nikki knows the game well, and she knows how to put us in the right positions to score and be who we want to be, and just knowing that, like I said, Coach Nikki knows the game, so she knows how to put us in the right spots, and Coach Tony's a great defensive coach as well, so he puts us in the right positions for defense as well, so we can excel on both ends of the floor, and I think our coaches do a great job of just putting everybody in the right positions.
Yeah, I just think coming from my former team, I mean, here at Baylor, I mean, I just wanted to take the defensive part of the game more seriously, and I think I've really, gotten better at that part of the game. Just that, and then Coach Nikki obviously put me in the best position possible. I mean, I was playing the three in the beginning of the year. She moved me to the paint, and so that's probably where I got to eat more, so.
Additional questions for the Baylor student-athletes? All right, thank you for your time. Best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you, guys.
Head coach Nikki Collin will be joining us next. She'll be on the dais at 12:40. afternoon, Coach Collin. You're
All right.
right here with us. Welcome.
Thank you.
We'll give everybody a few minutes to reassemble back here.
Yeah, I told the Waco people not to be late.
Yeah.
Don't be late.
They were front row.
They're not getting any other sound bites. This is it.
Continuing our Baylor news conference, we are joined by head coach Nikki Collin, making her 11th NCAA tournament appearance as a player and a coach.
Oh, wow. You added them all up.
Purdue, Marquette, and all the way down to you.
Yeah. Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll open up the floor to questions for Coach Collin.
Derek Smith, Baylor Radio. So you had to wait a little bit to find out who the first opponent was going to be. When you saw it was Vanderbilt, what were some of the things that immediately came to mind about them?
I think Shea has done an amazing job there. I think, I'd watched them early in the season beat Iowa State in Vegas, and I'm always watching games. So I think, kind of the turnaround in year 3 there has been really, really impressive. But I think they play like an SEC team. They have some size. They have athleticism. They've got a lot of really, really good pieces. So really good team, a team that's super motivated. I think, obviously a team that when you are in a playing game, that you just kind of we're right there on the edge. And so wanting to have that chip on your shoulder to prove that you belong here. And they certainly did that last night.
Another question for you. Jada Walker playing in her home state, and I know with her and Jana, you've got a couple of really good ball handlers. You can do different things with them. How does that allow you to play to Jada's strengths in the tournament?
Yeah, hopefully, I think Jada's a player that does a good job playing downhill. Certainly someone that needs to get a piece of the paint regularly, and I think the 2 weeks we've had kind of leading up to this has been good, getting her back in the gym and getting, a lot of comfort in that pull-up jump shot, which I think is as good as really anyone in the country when she searches it. Certainly we feel like we're going to have to play downhill and who we are. We're at our best when we're playing with pace and transition. So a lot of that starts with her.
You had almost 2 weeks to prepare. What's that timeline been like for you and the team?
I think there's two sides to it. I think for us, I thought it was really, really productive for us just getting a lot of shots up, a lot of volume of shots, really doing a lot of individual work, taking attention, as much as there's shots that all of our guards get, they're all uniquely different. There's shots that all of our posts get, but they're all uniquely different. So to me, it's been like a really, really good cleanup, as well as a shot volume situation.
Kelly?
Hey, Coach. Kelly Gramlich, I'm calling the game tomorrow for ESPN. I was talking to Dre and Asia when they were in here earlier about why they've been able to thrive here coming from different schools. They both cited you and how you've been able to put them in positions to be successful. Asia kind of playing more inside later in this year. So can you just tell me more about how you feel like you've put them in positions to be successful, those two players?
Well, I think neither one of them fits in a particular box. They're not true low post players. They're not true ball handling guards. They're very hybrid-ish. I think we've got a lot of those players, and so we obviously had a lot of success in certain ways early. And I think as the season went along, when there were gaps in terms of what our success looked like, it was about reassessing. Where is Asia being the most productive? Okay, let me get her back into that space. We've spent a lot of time talking to Dre about, hey, she shoots about 33% from 3, and at sometimes doesn't get inside and take advantage of mismatches that I think she's capable of, but really getting her to understand the threes that she makes. She's really, really productive inside the lane lines from 3. She's struggled from the corner, so getting her to understand, we want her to take threes. We want her to take the right threes for her when she can walk into those trail threes, when she can be kind of in that lane line. She's really, really good from out there, but playing off 2, playing on balance, and not being afraid to get in and mix it up, which is really kind of how they utilized her at Kentucky. She played inside a lot. And so I think a big part of her wanting to be at Baylor was how we pick, slip, pop, play off the bounce, and use them both in different ways. And so I think for Asia, it's getting her back to her comfort zone. She's at her best, quite frankly, when she's talking and flexing on people inside the lane, and not when she's out shooting threes. And it doesn't mean she's incapable of making threes, but when we get her playing downhill, when we get her playing with a little edge and a little momentum, then it kind of snowballs for her.
Coach, this is more of a general question. I heard someone ask this to Don Staley, and I thought it was a great question. What does a player need? If there's one thing, what does a player need to play for you?
Heart. That seems so basic, but I'm really a basketball nerd. I love the game. I can point to the moment I fell in love with basketball and how it's kind of defined every part of my life since that point. So I very much consider myself a teacher of the game. That my goal is to always just keep giving back to the game that's meant so much to me. So when you play for me, you got to want to learn. It's not about yelling and screaming, and maybe I'm not the greatest motivator, but I'm gonna show you the way. I think I'm good at communicating how we need to do things, how you can be individually successful, how we can be collectively successful. But it's like you got to want to learn the game, because we're going to teach the game. We're going to teach the terminology. We're going to teach the reads. We're going to teach, and it's even with this team this year, like I would love a huge playbook, but when push comes to shove, this is not a team that's built for a big playbook. But we're talented enough and versatile enough that I've had to figure out, how does this team succeed? What things can we run, where we don't blow their mind away with like 72 different plays, and you got to start here and you got to go there. And so really getting them to play off one another and share the basketball.
Thanks, Coach.
Derek Smith, Baylor Radio. The sweatshirt you have on, sometimes you, sometimes me, always us, always you. What does that slogan mean in regards just to this year's team in particular?
Yeah, I think when we started the season, we didn't start with this. Ultimately, like our team slogan is greater than. It's got biblical implications, but conceptually, like the idea of being better today than you were yesterday, being greater than in every walk of life, whether it's how we communicate or how we go about classroom and what we do in the classroom. But this was something when this season started, we maybe don't have anyone on the first 3 All-American teams. We don't have anyone that's honorable mention. Does that mean we don't have great players? No. I think we don't rely on any one player to play to and play through. And it can be different players on any different night. I think our first 7 games, we had 6 different leading scorers. And at some point in the season, we've had 8 different players on our team lead us in scoring with over 15 points. And so, really at the end of the day, it's about feeding the hot hand. It's about taking advantage of the mismatches that we have. It's about moving the ball to the most open player, and we've had success when it hasn't been, did I get my shots? Did I get the most shots? Did I get the most touches? It's about, hey, we won the basketball game. Here's why. Because we're deeper, because we're versatile, because we can take advantage of different ways that people are playing us because of our unselfishness. So it kind of Sadie Edwards on my staff tweeted it after, one of the wins that we had, and it's just kind of stuck.
Coach, how cool is it for someone like Jada Walker to be able to play a little bit closer to home than Waco, Texas?
Yeah, in the old days, and it really is the old days when, the transfer portal wasn't what it is, and I think you tried when you signed a player, you usually committed to the family that if they were from far away, that you would try to find a way to get back and play somewhere close to their home. But that in today's environment, that's really hard to do when you have players for 1 and 2 years. And so, you always you always still needed to get a team to be willing to play you in that area. And so this is, I know she was excited, and I didn't even think about it when it went up on the board, but she's like, that's home. Like, I get to go home. So I know as a coach's kid, she's moved some as well. So, but ultimately, I think it's exciting for her to be near more friends and family.
Okay, I don't know if this has been asked. I know we got a great game last night, obviously, with that's a March Madness game, but in terms now that it's Vanderbilt, is there a sense of relief that, it's just one team now and, now we have full focus on them for this, next 24 hours?
Yeah, I was just hoping with the game starting at 9 and it got close that they were going to play into overtime and maybe triple overtime and, set some kind of NCAA record and we'd be playing past midnight and by we, not me. And so, no, it was a great game. I think that was the biggest challenge of seeing the bracket come out. You've gone 10 days without an opponent to prepare for, and you still don't. And so you're weighing, not wanting your players to think you're guessing. And over time, the more you watch both teams, the more you realize it's going to be a close game, and predicting a winner is tough. I thought Vandy did a great job on Shu, but if she has a typical that game could have looked different if she has just a typical game for her. And so credit to Vandy for taking her away and doing what needed to be done. They played through the paint. I thought their offensive rebounding and their shots at the rim, besides Moore made every big shot in the game. I thought she was phenomenal in terms of taking and making and keeping the game, the distance there. But it does feel good. We've been watching both teams, but now you can actually kind of say this is who we're playing, these is their tendencies, these are, as opposed to kind of alluding to things that you're working at that could be, hey, both these teams run zoom action, both these teams run, so you're working on some things that were commonalities, but obviously when it comes to player personnel, these two teams look different.
Is there a team y'all have had this year that maybe is similar to Vanderbilt, or what teams come to mind maybe?
Oh, man. I hate getting put on the spot. I don't know. I mean, they I think the thing about them is, you've got, we see players like Jackson's a relentless offensive rebounder in our league. So, it's kind of like you're trying to get your team to understand that Washington is going to go to the offensive glass the same way that Jackson did, and how important it is to, she's not just going to go, but she's going to get her hand on balls. When you do block her out, she's going to tip them. And so, you kind of try to compare that. They're an execution team. Their execution actions are not that dissimilar from Iowa State. A lot of stuff in the middle channel, a lot of tunnel action, whether it's rescreens or, so there's they have a lot of different sets, but ultimately the ball tends to stay in the middle channel. There's a lot of screens with Moore and Washington in them, Cambridge can get downhill and make plays and is a little Quinterly-ish in terms of her ability to get steals and get her hand on balls. And so I don't know that it's easy to compare them to one team, but it's easy to compare things they do to things we've seen. I mean, you have to get them to play out of system, to beat them. Like, you got to get them to play out of system, because when they can screen, your tags have to be good on your ball screen coverage. You have to know player personnel. Who's a great shooter? Who do we have to run off the line? Who can we dig in off of? Things like that. So, I think that's kind of what we're used to, though. Like, we're not a light scout team. I don't know. Our players probably dislike it, but we probably over scout. So they're used to that.
Coach, thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Best of luck tomorrow against Vanderbilt. This press conference and all press conferences will be available in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at ncaa.veritone.com. Our next news conference comes up at 2:05 as the Marshall players will join us on the dais.